Next to the parry and basic jab catches and short blocks, I think one of the most important defensive moves is the low strike block. And this type of a parry is done as if we're perceiving something coming in towards our body. So the most common example for us would be somebody coming at us with a knife, and we are stepping off the line and striking downward. As I said at the outset, I'm not a big fan of twirly-whirly kind of Joe work. I like very strong hits, very strong counters. But this downward hit can be a little bit tough to train. If you only have, let's say, a punching bag or a wave master, hitting to the side on some kind of an angle can prepare you mechanically for that to some extent. If I look at my tire mannequin here, I've equipped it with this half tire round, so that gives us the equivalence of a knee from forward strikes. But I can likewise treat this as if this was a wrist coming forward, and I can use it for lower downward sword chops. This kind of mechanic is great. The tire is really not that hard on my body because it provides me with a lot of rebound, and it's easier on the joints. The important thing is that I'm getting off the line and I'm striking. If I'm doing this even in the air, one thing to keep in mind is that I can start off with that basic staff grip, and as I step, I can elongate easily into a sword grip to get maximal distance. One of the mannequins I built that I featured on other downloads is just a typical square base with 4 springs that are gate springs. I have a metal armature with a socket and a shorter metal arm, and I've just wrapped it in pool noodles and beaten the hell out of it. But this is another one. Although it's a little bit higher, it does give me this capacity to step off the line and get a really solid strike. And if I can strike solidly here, it wouldn't take much to drop that another 10-15 centimeters. I can also see sometimes that wrist pull like this can be really helpful. If I just strike straight, sometimes my wrist bends in an odd kind of angle. It can work as a knock, but very often I'll twist it and like this. So this kind of work is fantastic just for learning how to parry very hard strikes. Another reason I think that there is this misconception about, twisting and grinding in the wound is that a lot of these older techniques, these older katas, were in fact teaching a circular parry. Now, a circular parry is basically this. If I am on, for example, I'm striking on one side on one line of attack, and then the person comes in, I can melt around them, blend around them, either under, coming back to the same spot, or over. And usually what's nice about this is that there is give and take, right? So if I block something where we were crossing weapons and I wanted to get past it, I could literally stir it to get to the other side of the attack. Sometimes I'll return to my exact beginning spot and I'll use it to kind of, throw the weapon away or unbalance the person. But other times I'll just perform a half circle, making sure that weapon's not touching, and strike into another part of the body. So it allows us to blend from one line to create some kind of deviation and then to come back on the other side. Could be with a strike, could be just as a deflection. But this is the idea. I'm creating pressure and I'm hitting. So on an arm, if you don't have a human to practice with, this is a really good way to develop power by teaching us how to blend around and to keep that constant, the mushimi, the adhesion. I don't want to have it knocking and lose control of it as I go around. I touch with even pressure, circle, and then get to the body preferably. So even if I was beginning, from more of a distance, like touching the wrist, as I circle, I should seek to get to the trunk, or as I circle, maybe I'm hitting under the arm, upward into the body. Unlike Western fencing, which would typically only have the circular parry occurring to navigate in or to perform a slight deflection in order to make an opening, where all attacks would only be occurring with the lead, I could also be performing a circular parry and then go into a second side strike or step back and stab